Discovered, the heartwarming journey of the infertile daughter who returned with an amazing child. In the sleepy town of Maple Grove, Ohio, life moved at a gentle pace, punctuated by the laughter of children playing in backyards and the scent of freshly baked pies wafting through the air. But for Sarah Collins, in her 30s, the air was heavy with unfulfilled dreams. The longing to cradle her own child in her arms gnawed at her heart, leaving a painful ache that grew sharper with each passing year. Her parents, sweet but expectant, often planted subtle hints about grandchildren, their excitement palpable at community gatherings. Each obligatory family dinner became a bittersweet reminder of the one thing she couldn't give them. As autumn leaves fell, the annual fall festival approached. Once a cherished event filled with joy and excitement, it loomed over Sarah like a storm cloud. She often watched her friends parade their children through the town, tiny hands waving, tiny voices giggling. With every cheer, her heart sank. Was she destined to be the last alone woman in a world so full of families? Then, in a moment fueled by both desperation and hope, Sarah stumbled across a dusty flyer at the local coffee shop, local adoption agency seeking loving families. She felt a flicker of something, a chance, a path. Her best friend, Lily, with her encouragement and unwavering support, ignited a spark inside her. Why not? Lily declared, eyes twinkling. You could be an amazing mom. But hope was fragile. The road to adoption began with meeting families, facing questioning glances, and answering probing questions from potential support networks. Some friends embraced her new journey, while others offered whispering judgments, echoing through the tight-knit town. Sarah found herself grappling with doubts, her fears surfacing alongside her dreams. Was she enough? Would she ever be seen as a real mom in their eyes? Just as she gathered her resolve, a devastating setback came crashing down. A critical document went missing, leaving her chances hanging by a thread. Panic set in. The community pulsed with excitement as families prepared for festival activities. In stark contrast, Sarah sat alone with tears burning at the corners of her eyes, chaos swirling inside her. The clock was ticking, and with it, her chance felt like it was slipping away. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As festival lights began to twinkle, enveloping the night in warmth, Sarah stood at a crossroad. She took a deep breath, heart pounding. She had always envisioned motherhood splashed with traditional images, the silhouette of a glowing woman in a sunlit room cradling a baby. But what if family looked different? What if connection transcended bloodlines, forging a new meaning of love? The community pulsed around her, celebration thrumming in the air. Yet here she was, searching for where she belonged. Would she gather the courage to redefine her path? As questions tumbled through her mind, she felt an ember flicker within her, a dawning realization that family was not just defined by tradition but created in moments of love and resilience. In that swirling sea of uncertainty, Sarah started envisioning a future larger than herself. With her heart set on a child who needed her, her journey was only beginning. What kind of mother would she be? And could she truly overcome the shadows of doubt that lingered just beyond the festival lights? The answers felt both thrilling and terrifying, and as new hope began to take root, she knew one thing: her story was far from over. As the festival lights danced overhead, each twinkle igniting a spark of possibility in Sarah's heart, she gathered her strength. The laughter and joy surrounding her filled her with a longing that felt unbearable. How many more moments would she miss, watching rather than participating? How many more family gatherings would she endure, with well-meaning yet piercing inquiries about her own family plans? Lily found her standing at the edge of the festival, lost in her thoughts. "Hey," her friend said warmly, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder, "I've got an idea. Let us go in together. You deserve to experience this, Sarah. Taking a deep breath, Sarah nodded. Hand in hand, they walked into the heart of the festivities. The sounds of children laughing filled the air, mingling with the aromas of caramel apples and popcorn. For a moment, the warmth washed over Sarah, momentarily pushing away the chill of her fears. As they approached a booth, decorated with colorful balloons, Sarah noticed a small girl trying to reach for a prize high on the shelf. The girl's frustration was palpable, and without thinking, Sarah crouched down beside her. Need a little help? The girl's eyes lit up, and with a short boost from Sarah, they managed to retrieve the bright stuffed elephant that had been out of reach. Thank you. The girl squealed, hugging the plush toy tightly as if it were the happiest moment of her day. Watching the girl skip away, Sarah's chest tightened with a mix of emotions. The fleeting connection warmed her heart but also reminded her of what she was yearning for: a child to nurture, to share moments of joy with, to love fiercely. Amid their exploration, Lily couldn't help but draw Sarah's attention to the adoption information booth. You should go talk to them, she encouraged, her voice soft but firm. You never know who might be there today. Sarah hesitated, dread clawed at her insides. But the feeling of possibility surged within her. Slowly, they approached the booth, where a kind-faced woman smiled brightly. Hi. I'm Roberta. Are you interested in learning about adoption? Sarah felt her throat tighten, but she managed to nod. I am, sort of. Roberta leaned forward slightly, her voice inviting. Every child deserves a loving home. We can help you find the right match for your family. There are kids out there who are amazing, just waiting for someone like you. As they spoke, Roberta shared stories of hopeful families and children with unique backgrounds, each one filled with potential and dreams of their own. With every word, Sarah felt a spark reignite in her chest. What if she could be the one to change a child's life forever? What if her journey could lead her to a love she never anticipated? The night wore on, and Sarah found herself drawn deeper into the conversation. They discussed the process, the support available, and the endless possibilities. For the first time in years, she felt seen, not as a woman without a child, but as a woman with the potential to create a family. Then, just as the excitement swelled within her, an alarming thought crept back in. What if this was just another shimmering speck of hope that would be snatched away? She could walk away now, disappointment lingering like a shadow, or she could step bravely into the unknown, risking everything. Before she could answer that question for herself, Lily squeezed her hand. You've got this, Sarah. Whatever happens next, you're not alone. With newfound determination, Sarah took a deep breath. She could feel the weight of her fears lessen, replaced with a flicker of hope. Could she really commit to this journey? The thrill of possibility surged through her. Just then, a gleeful laughter broke through the crowd, pulling Sarah's attention. A young boy with bright red hair dashed past her, a vivacious energy surrounding him like sunlight. She watched as he collided into a woman nearby, their embrace filled with warmth and love. In that brief moment, something clicked inside her. Maybe family didn't just come from the bonds of blood, but from connection, kindness, and love. With the night shimmering all around her, Sarah felt excitement beginning to take root. But would she be ready to face whatever came next? Before she could process fully, she caught Roberta's eye from the booth, and they exchanged encouraging smiles. As the sounds of joyful celebration surrounded her, the question hung heavy in the air: did she have the courage to open her heart, engage with this path, and embrace the family she so yearned for? The journey ahead felt daunting, but in that moment, Sarah took a tentative step forward, ready to discover just how much stronger love could be than unfulfilled dreams. And as she ventured into the promise of tomorrow, her heart was alive with questions. What would it mean to be a mother? Would she find the child to love and nurture as her own? The festival glimmered all around her, yet within her, a spark burned brighter than ever before. Sarah stood at the adoption booth, her heart racing. Roberta's encouraging smile felt like a lifeline as Sarah glanced at a collection of brochures scattered across the table. Each one bore pictures of smiling children, eyes glimmering with possibilities, almost reaching for her. It was like they were saying, "Pick me. I'm waiting for you." "There are so many wonderful kids out there," Roberta said, her voice smooth as honey. "Each one deserves a chance to belong." Sarah nodded, but doubts flared inside her. What if she didn't have what it took? What if she made a mistake? She took an instinctual step back. There were so many uncertainties waiting to trip her up. "Want to sit?" Lily suggested softly, stepping closer. "Just take your time, Sarah." It felt like the world had fallen away, leaving the three of them in an intimate bubble amidst the festival's chaos. With a trembling hand, Sarah grasped the chair near the booth. As she sat, Roberta pulled out a picture book filled with stories of children looking for homes. "Let me show you a few profiles." Roberta's kind eyes shone with understanding. "We can find the right fit together." With each profile she looked at, a pang ignited in Sarah's heart. These were not just images of children, they were lives filled with hopes and fears, dreams and potential. A little girl in the photos had a pink bow in her hair and a grin that lit up her entire face. Another boy, wearing a superhero cape, seemed ready to leap into adventure. They were all waiting a waiting game that resonated deeply within Sarah. "Do you have an age range in mind?" Roberta asked, her voice pulling Sarah back into the moment. Maybe, younger. I think I'd like to experience those early years." Her voice faltered as the weight of what she was saying settled over her. "Great. We have plenty of options for younger children. It's all about what feels right for you." Roberta scribbled down some notes, her enthusiasm infectious. Sarah's heart began to swell. The idea of nurturing and loving one of these children ignited something within her, a flame that had dimmed for too long. Her earlier fears began to fade, replaced with visions of bedtime stories, shared laughter, and the warm embrace of family. Yet just as excitement started to flourish, another thought flitted through her mind. What did family mean to those kids? Could she really understand their experiences? Would she be able to offer the stability they deserved? Panic tinged her excitement with shadowy edges. Lily must have sensed the winding turmoil inside Sarah because she leaned in closer, turning her gaze toward Roberta. "What resources are available for new adoptive parents?" she asked, watching Sarah intently. Roberta smiled wide, eager to share. "We offer support groups, workshops, and plenty of resources for parents. It's important to have a strong community behind you, and we're here to help you every step of the way." Those words landed like soft petals against Sarah's worries. Community. Support. She imagined the laughter and love surrounding her home, a group of friends sharing in the journey, feeling lighter with each beat of her heart. As the conversation continued, Sarah felt a steady determination building inside her. It was time to step out of the shadows of fear and into the laughter and joy she had always desired. But before she could respond to Roberta, a loud cheer erupted from the direction of the festival stage. Glancing casually, she saw performers juggling and dancing, bringing to life the spirit of togetherness that infused the festival, and then it hit her. It wasn't just about having a child. It was about creating a family, a shared experience, bonded not only by blood but by love. The thought filled her with warmth. The night glimmered alive around her, yet a new fear nudged at her heart. What if she couldn't provide the kind of life they truly needed? What if she fell short of being the mother they deserved? Taking a deep breath, Sarah opened her mouth to voice her concerns, but the words escaped her, a bubbling combination of excitement and terror. Would she dare to say what was building inside her? Before she could gather her thoughts, Lily squeezed her hand tighter. "Sarah, listen to your heart," she whispered, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. "It knows." With her friend's words reverberating through her, Sarah looked at Roberta, daring herself to imagine her own desires outweighing her fears. This time, stepping forward felt like the only option, but as uncertainty lingered, the question hung in the air: could she truly embrace this path of motherhood, confronting her deepest insecurities? And just when Sarah thought she had reached the decision, a commotion erupted from the crowd. A little girl, no older than 6, dashed toward her, her sparkling eyes gleaming with mischief. "Can I help you find your new family?" she shouted playfully, heart racing. Sarah could only smile a cautious, hopeful smile, wondering if this unexpected encounter was a sign of the journey she was about to undertake. The little girl stood there, bouncing on her toes, an endless stream of energy contained within a small frame. Sarah's heart warmed at the child's exuberance, innocence shining so brightly that it was hard to resist her charm. "Hi there," Sarah said, crouching down to meet the girl's eye level. "What's your name?" "Annie," the girl replied, her smile wide enough to light up the dim corner of the festival. She wriggled her fingers as if showcasing her name like a magician unveiling a wondrous trick. "Annie," Sarah repeated, savoring the name. "That's a beautiful name. Are you here with your family?" Annie nodded vigorously. "My mommy and daddy are over there." She pointed with a tiny hand, and Sarah turned to see a couple watching them, the parents' faces beaming with joy. "What are you looking for at this booth?" Annie asked, leaning closer, her voice barely above a whisper, as if sharing a secret. Sarah hesitated. The moment felt fragile, like a soap bubble that might burst with the slightest wrong move. "I'm trying to find a family of my own," she finally replied, her voice soft but steady. Annie's eyes sparkled, curiosity piqued. "Do you want a little girl or a little boy?" I think I want a little girl," Sarah said, surprised by the confidence with which the words tumbled from her lips. Suddenly, it all felt real. Annie clapped her hands, excitement bubbling. "That's perfect. You can have tea parties and princesses. I love princesses." Roberta had been watching with a smile playing on her lips, and now she stepped gently into the conversation. "Annie, do you know any girls who are looking for a family?" The girl thought for a moment, her eyes narrowing with concentration. I don't know. But I can be your little girl for today." She hopped in place, clearly savoring the involvement as the star of Sarah's thoughts. Sarah chuckled, a wave of warmth washing over her. "You're mighty tempting, Annie. I could use a sidekick for many adventures." "Aha! We can be superheroes," Annie declared, extending her hands outward in a dynamic pose, the sheer delight radiating from her warming the air around them. In that instant, doubts began to unlock, the heavy burdens of fear that had gripped Sarah just moments ago were loosening, wrapped up in the laughter and playfulness of this unexpected encounter. "What do you think, Roberta?" Sarah asked, glancing up at her with hopeful eyes. "Could I really do this?" Roberta nodded, her expression encouraging. "I think you have everything it takes, Sarah. You've already shown so much heart just by being here." A sense of courage began to seep into Sarah's bones, buoyed by Annie's antics and Roberta's faith in her. Suddenly, a loud horn blared from the festival stage, followed by the rhythmic thumping of drumbeats, drawing Sarah's attention back to the thrumming madness of the fair. She caught a glimpse of gleaming lights dancing against the twilight sky, colors swirling like laughter in the air. Annie leaned closer. "Let us go see the show." She tugged gently at Sarah's arm, eyes wide with wonder. "I want to dance." With a short laugh, Sarah agreed. "All right, let us go." As they moved toward the stage, Sarah's heart pounded not from panic but from the thrill of possibility. Each step felt lighter, buoyed by the laughter echoing around her, the promise of connection stirring deep within. But just as they were about to reach the crowd, Sarah's mind flipped back, her worries seized her again. What if she wasn't ready? What if the fear of not being enough came crashing back? Annie turned, her curly hair bouncing with innocence. "Are you scared, Sarah?" Taken by surprise, Sarah smiled but felt her stomach twist slightly. "A little, but I'm also really excited." "Excited is good. It means you're ready for big fun," Annie declared, marching forward without a hint of doubt. As they reached the front, laughter and cheers filled the air, yet Sarah kept glancing back at Roberta. Would this festival experience connect her to a path she never thought possible? Amid the chaos of lights and music, the weight of the decision felt almost overwhelming again. Just as she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the shiny booth, something inside her shifted. She didn't just want to be brave, she wanted to embrace what came next. With the beat pulling her in, Sarah finally understood, she had to dive into this adventure, letting go of fears one heartbeat at a time. But as the crowd swelled around them, one thought echoed within her: could this simple act of dancing with Annie lead her to the journey of her dreams? As they approached the stage, the pulsating rhythm of the drums wrapped around Sarah like a warm embrace. The crowd surged, a sea of happy faces and dancing bodies, all caught in the same joy. Annie tugged at Sarah's hand, leading her forward, and suddenly, it felt like the whole universe was cheering them on. "Look!" Annie squealed, pointing to a couple performing a lively dance in the center. "We can be like them." Sarah laughed, a sound that bubbled up from deep within her. She didn't know how to dance like that, how could she? But the way Annie beamed with pure joy made her feel like she could conquer anything. With a deep breath, she let herself be pulled into the rhythm, swaying side to side awkwardly at first until Annie's laughter washed over her, encouraging her to let loose. "Shake your arms. Like this," Annie exclaimed, her tiny limbs flailing with wild abandon. Sarah found herself mirroring Annie's moves, each exaggerated arm wave drawing her further into the moment. The music thumped in her chest, a steady reminder that being present in the moment was the real adventure, and not some distant dream she had always felt too far away to grasp. "See? It's fun," Annie shouted over the music, her eyes glittering. Sarah's eyes sparkled back. "You're right. I never knew dancing could feel this good." The joy of the moment enveloped her completely. A smile stretched across her face, and with her heart open, Sarah felt the constraints her past weighed her down with begin to lift. Like a balloon freed into the sky, they danced wildly, and for a few minutes, nothing else mattered. The noise of the festival faded, worries dissolved, and all that remained was laughter and music. Sarah was amazed. She had entered a world of possibility, one she had long thought was lost to her, but as the song came to an end, a sudden surge of doubt crept back. Could she really step into this new chapter of her life? Just as she was about to voice her fears, Roberta stepped forward, joining them on the dance floor. "There's my girl," she beamed, twirling in rhythm with their carefree movements. "You both look absolutely splendid." Annie rushed to embrace Roberta, and Sarah felt a warmth wash over her. In that moment, with the three of them dancing together, something shifted inside Sarah. "What if?" she started, her voice a hesitant whisper. Roberta caught her gaze, eyes full of understanding. "Every what if is just a door ready to be opened, Sarah. Remember that adventure you're chasing? It starts with a leap of faith." Feeling bolstered by Roberta's words, Sarah smiled again, this time a brighter, bolder one, filled with budding determination. More music filled the air, and as the next song began, Annie grabbed her hands, spinning her around. "Dance with us. You can be a silly princess." She laughed, twirling like the freedom they were both discovering, and it was true. Maybe that's what Sarah really wanted. To embrace the silliness, the joy of possibility, the idea of being a princess in her own fairy tale. As the crowd churned around them, a spark ignited inside Sarah. Just as she began to let that feeling bloom, her gaze shifted. Across the festival, a booth caught her eye, a family shelter, their colorful banners fluttering in the breeze. "Annie, what about that booth?" Sarah whispered, her heart racing again. "Do you think there might be families there?" Annie paused, her head cocked to one side. "Families? Like ours?" She looked up at Sarah, eyes sparkling with excitement. "Yes, exactly." The very idea made Sarah's heart race. "Want to check it out?" Turning toward Roberta, Sarah felt the weight of her decision once again. Was this just another moment of excitement, or could it lead her to whatever lay beyond her fears? With Annie pulling her forward, leaving the safety of the dancing crowd behind them. Sarah couldn't help but wonder, could this festival and the leap into the unknown finally take her to the family she wished for? The booth loomed ahead, vibrant and welcoming, decorated with images of smiling families and playful children. Each banner seemed to beckon Sarah closer, the colors bright against the sun-drenched hues of the festival. Annie's grip on her hand was tight, her excitement palpable. It was as if they were on a treasure hunt, seeking something priceless amidst the joyful chaos all around them. What if they have kids just like me? Annie bubbled, her eyes wide with wonder. That's right, Annie. We might find new friends, Sarah replied, her heart racing with hope. The prospect both thrilled and terrified her. What if they truly found someone? What if this was the moment that everything changed? As they approached the booth, Sarah's breath quickened. A smiling woman with curly hair and a bright smile greeted them. Welcome. Would you like to learn more about our programs? The warmth in the woman's voice nudged Sarah's nerves aside, and she nodded. Yes, we're curious. What do you offer? The woman gestured to a colorful pamphlet featuring happy families. We help connect children with loving families. We provide support, resources, and community for everyone seeking a family connection. It's all about hope and opportunity. Annie leaned closer, eyes glued to the photos. Look at those kids, Sarah. They look so happy. Yes, they do, Sarah whispered, her heart swelling. Could this be the place for new beginnings? Sarah felt a flicker of uncertainty, the old fears creeping in. What if she wasn't ready for this? What if the past caught up with her and pulled her back? But as she watched Annie's bright face reflect pure joy, the doubt began to fade. This was about more than just her. It was about Annie, about finding a home for both their hearts. What can we do? Annie asked, her voice a mixture of eagerness and hope. The woman smiled knowingly. You can get involved. We offer volunteer opportunities and ways to meet families who need support. It's all about building connections. The words hung in the air, heavy with promise, yet Sarah's mind whirled. Could she really open that door? The thought alone made her heart race. She could already envision a community blooming around them, a place full of laughter, much like the festival buzzing all around them. Would you like to meet some families today? The woman continued, sensing their hesitation but also their hope. You could see how it all works firsthand. Right now? Sarah asked, the weight of the moment crashing down. Yes. Let me show you some of the incredible possibilities. The woman replied, her enthusiasm infectious. Annie bounced on her toes, clutching Sarah's hand even tighter. Every beat of the festival faded into a soft hum, and Sarah felt the pull of what could be, drawing her forward. Okay, let us do it. She said, her voice stronger than she felt. As they began to follow, exhilaration bubbled up within her, mixed with a hint of apprehension. This leap was significant. It could transform everything. The woman led them through a small archway, and suddenly they were in a cozy area filled with laughter and conversation. Families sat together, sharing stories and smiles, their children weaving in and out of play. I'm scared, Sarah admitted softly to Annie as they scanned the room, wonder and anxiety blending together. What if I don't belong here? Annie looked up at her, confusion flickering in her eyes. But you do belong. You're my best friend. You're brave and wonderful. Her words wrapped around Sarah like a protective shield. With a deep breath, she stepped forward into the vibrant space, her heart pounding like the drums that had called to her earlier. What if this was the beginning of everything she wanted? Yet, amidst the hope, a new tension tugged at her heart, a question lingering like the music in the air. Would she truly find a place here, or was this leap of faith simply another twist in her journey? Annie tugged at Sarah's hand, pulling her towards a small gathering of families seated on colorful picnic blankets, laughter echoing like a comforting melody. Sarah's heart pounded loudly in her ears, each beat a reminder of the weight of her decision. What if she stepped into this moment, only to find it wasn't meant to be? As they moved deeper into the room, a little girl with pigtails spotted them and waved excitedly. "Hi there. Want to come play?" Her smile was infectious, brightening the moment like the sun breaking through clouds. "See, Sarah. They're friendly," Annie exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Holding Annie's hand tightly, Sarah smiled back, even as uncertainty flickered behind her eyes. "Let us see what the others are doing first," she suggested, nudging Annie towards another group. They wandered to a gathering of parents chatting animatedly, swapping stories about their children. The woman from the booth approached, her enthusiasm unwavering. "This is a great family to meet. They just adopted 2 wonderful kids." Sarah's breath hitched at the sound of adopted. It was a word that felt both hopeful and intimidating. "How did they find you?" she asked, a mixture of curiosity and apprehension in her tone. The couple, a tall man with curly hair and a soft-spoken woman, turned toward them, their smiles reaching their eyes. "We went through the program just like you are," the woman offered warmly. "It felt daunting at first, but it's led to the most beautiful journey." "What was it like?" Annie interjected, her eager curiosity pulling Sarah in deeper. The man chuckled softly. "It was scary but exhilarating. We felt like we were stepping into the unknown. But every moment led us here, to our kids who fill our lives with joy." Sarah's heart swelled at the idea of love blossoming from uncertainty. Maybe taking this plunge wouldn't just mean facing her fears, but also unlocking joy she hadn't imagined possible. Yet, doubt lingered in the back of her mind like a shadow. What if she wasn't capable? What if the fear of failure haunted them again? Annie's excitement seemed to radiate, yet Sarah needed to steady herself. "What if we find out this isn't for us? What if?" The couple exchanged glances, then the woman leaned in closer. "It's okay to be scared. That's part of it. But remember, this is also about building connections, not just for you but for your child too. You're not alone in this. Anyone can start this journey," added the man, his voice encouraging. "It's about opening your heart to possibilities." Sarah glanced at Annie, her precious friend, whose hopeful face reflected pure innocence. Wouldn't it be amazing to give her the chance to belong, to feel love in its truest form? "What do you think, Annie?" Sarah asked, her heart fluttering with both fear and hope. "Could this be the kind of love we're looking for?" "Yes. I want to be part of this. I want to have a family," Annie exclaimed with a passion that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. The warmth of those surrounding them, the laughter, the sense of belonging began to seep through Sarah's defenses. Maybe this was the stepping stone she needed. Just as she was starting to feel a flicker of courage, the woman from the booth announced that 3 families would be sharing their stories in a circle. "This could be an amazing moment for all of you to get a glimpse of what's possible." Sarah's stomach tightened again. What if something about those stories struck a chord deep inside, revealing things she hadn't yet faced? As the families settled in, Sarah felt herself teetering on the edge of a decision, her heart thrumming with energy. Was she truly ready to dive into these possibilities, or would she retreat back into the safety of familiarity? The first family began to share, their story swirling through the air like a tender breeze. But just as Sarah began to listen intently, a familiar face from her past unexpectedly entered the room. What had she thought she left behind? Would this be the connection to her past that would haunt her, or was it another step toward a brighter future? Sarah's heart raced as she spotted the familiar face. Jenna. It had been years since they last crossed paths, but the memory of their friendship, once vibrant, now a painful echo, flooded back to her. Jenna's eyes had always held warmth, but the way they locked onto Sarah now felt charged with an unspoken history. "Sarah? Is that really you?" Jenna walked closer, her surprised smile faltering slightly. The tension in the air tightened like a string drawn taut, every bit of warmth and familiarity overshadowed by the uncertainty of their past. "Jenna." "Hi," Sarah croaked out, unsure whether to embrace the woman she once considered a sister or to turn away. The memories they shared, mornings laughing over coffee, late nights confiding secrets were jumbled with all the reasons they lost touch. "I didn't expect to see you here," Jenna said, her voice almost a whisper. "Me neither," Sarah replied, glancing at Annie, who was still caught up in the concept of adoption, oblivious to the emotional fissure that had formed. Annie tugged at Sarah's sleeve, pulling her back to the present. "Can we sit with them, Sarah? I want to listen." Her enthusiasm was infectious, a gentle reminder of the moment they were in. But Sarah was spinning, lost in the gravity of Jenna's presence. "Of course," she managed, leading Annie to a spot near the storytelling circle. The two families before them spoke animatedly about their journeys, but Sarah's heart wasn't in the stories. It was instead tethered to the complexities of her past relationship with Jenna. "Do you remember that summer we spent at the lake?" Jenna's voice broke through Sarah's haze suddenly, bringing warmth, pain, and nostalgia, all tangled together. "We thought we were so grown up, carving our names into the picnic table." "Yeah, I remember," Sarah said, the corners of her mouth lifting despite the heaviness in her heart. "That was a simpler time before their paths diverged." "You look different," Jenna observed gently, as if trying to bridge the gap that had formed between them. "Stronger." Sarah felt a blush creep to her cheeks, touched by the compliment. "And you look happy," she replied, trying to catch a glimpse of the life Jenna had chosen since they last spoke. Jenna nodded. "I am, actually. I've been working on some new projects, fostering, really. I have one little guy right now who is just a bundle of energy." There was a light in Jenna's eyes. It was a light Sarah remembered well, but it now shimmered with a purpose that felt grounded. As Jenna continued, sharing snippets of her life, Sarah listened with a mix of admiration and trepidation. They had both ventured into unknown waters, Jenna taking strides in fostering while Sarah hovered on the edge of adopting. But was she ready for any of this? The first family finished their heartfelt story, and the applause that followed startled Sarah. It shook her from her reverie. "Maybe this is a sign," Jenna said softly, eyes twinkling with possibilities. "What if it's not?" Sarah murmured, more to herself than Jenna. Jenna gave her a knowing look, as if sensing Sarah's internal struggle. "You owe it to yourself, to both of you, to explore it. Don't let fear hold you back. You might find the embrace of love in places you least expect." Her words lingered in the air, heavy with implications. Could Sarah truly allow herself to welcome the chaos of the unknown? Could Jenna's presence be a catalyst for rebirth instead of a reminder of everything she feared? As Sarah contemplated this, the second family began to share their journey. Each word hung in the air like a blessing, but what struck Sarah most was the connectedness of it all, the same warmth she had felt when meeting those earlier at the picnic, the same pulse of hope. With each story woven into the fabric of vulnerability and triumph, something within Sarah began to shift. Maybe this moment, with Jenna here, was a door cracked open just wide enough to let a sliver of light in, but what lay beyond that door? Could she truly embrace it, or would the echoes of her past keep her caged, farther in the circle? Laughter bubbled up like a rising tide, but in Sarah's mind, it was a question that began to rise more prominently. What if stepping forward meant having to confront the pieces of her heart she had buried long ago? Could she truly reshape her narrative into one of love and family? The question lingered, heavy yet hopeful, as the next family took the floor, their story waiting to unfold. The air hummed with anticipation as the next family settled themselves. A father, graying at the temples but still robust, held an infant cradled to his chest, glowing with pride and love. The warmth radiating from this family reminded Sarah of the life she longed for but had felt distant for so long. The love pouring from them wrapped around Sarah, pulling at something deep within. "Hi everyone. We're the Kellers," the father began, his voice steady but thick with emotion. "We always wanted a big family, but life had other plans." Sarah watched intently as the story unfolded. It wasn't a tale of ease. It was filled with trials, losses, and overwhelming joy. Each word he spoke felt like a thread woven into the fabric of Sarah's heart, each thread pulling tighter, urging her to remember her own desires. They had faced infertility treatments, heart-wrenching decisions, and moments of despair, Yet, despite it all, they found their miracle, a girl named Mia who once filled the halls of the foster system with laughter, waiting for the family she so desperately needed. She was in and out of homes before us. We were so afraid that she wouldn't bond with us. But the moment she looked at us, something changed, the mother chimed in, her voice trembling. It felt like coming home. Tears glimmered in the corners of Sarah's eyes. Did adopting mean reclaiming the parts of her life she had tucked away? The idea felt electrifying yet terrifying, a risk wrapped in love and uncertainty. Jenna sat beside her, their shoulders brushing, a grounding presence. She whispered, "Their story is beautiful, right? You can feel the love." Sarah nodded, her thoughts racing. Could she embrace that kind of hope? As the Kellers spoke more about their journey with Mia, tabled laughter erupted, growing into a moment of pure joy as they shared a picture of their daughter celebrating her first birthday. The crowd adored the glow of family, the kind of warmth that had first drawn Sarah to the idea of adoption. But as their words painted pictures of laughter and milestones, a pang of doubt shot through her. If she chose this path, would she crumble under the weight of her fears? Would she be enough? Worries bubbled to the surface, threatening to drown out the shimmering possibilities. The Kellers ended their story with a heartfelt statement. Family isn't defined by blood. It's built from love, connection, and the brave decision to open your heart. The room erupted in applause, and as Sarah joined in, the swell of emotion blossomed in her chest. Every cheer, every clapping hand seemed to resonate with an echo of her own thoughts. It wasn't just the story of the Kellers, it felt like a story meant for her. Jenna laid a comforting hand on Sarah's back. "What do you think?" she asked, her eyes searching Sarah's for an answer. Maybe it is time to open up," Sarah whispered, the weight lightening a little, possibilities fluttering within her. Just then, a small voice piped up from across the circle. Annie's eyes sparkled with innocence. "Mom, can we have a story too? Like them?" The question hung in the air, growing heavier with every second. The realization of how earnest that desire was sent a tingle of warmth through Sarah. What kind of story would they write together? Was she ready to embrace this narrative filled with love and uncertainty? As the circle shifted attention, Sarah's heart raced again, but this time with purpose. Would she finally confront the fear that had held her back? The moment was ripe with potential, her heart now a mix of nervousness and excitement. But what if stepping beyond the threshold meant unraveling the deepest parts of herself, unearthing the ties that bound her to the past? Where would that journey lead? Sarah's thoughts whirled as she held Annie's hand, life and love pushing her gently but firmly towards something greater. With the festival music fading into a distant hum, Sarah sat in that circle, the weight of her fears and hopes swirling all around her like the flickering fireflies outside. She took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of Annie's small hand in hers. The hope in the air was palpable, wrapping around her like a hug. Can I share?" she found herself saying, the words pushing their way forward as if they had waited for this very moment. The room quieted, all eyes turning towards her. For the first time in ages, she felt more than just the ache of what she lacked, she felt the stirring of what was possible. "I've wanted a family for so long," she began, her voice trembling but steady. "But I've been terrified. Terrified that I wouldn't be enough." As she spoke, she felt the connection in the room swell. Everyone listened, nodding gently, their faces filled with understanding. Jenna smiled at her from across the circle, and it reignited something deep within her. "I've spent so many years thinking that family had to look a certain way, traditional, picture perfect. But sitting here with all of you, I realize that family is about love. It's about connection." A quiet murmur of agreement rippled through the gathering. Sarah's heart quickened as she felt a shift, every word weaving a tapestry of support around her. "I know there are children out there who need a loving home, and I want to be that home." Annie bounced in her seat, her excitement bubbling to the surface. "We can be a team, Sarah. A family. We can have tea parties and build forts." The delight in her voice spilled over, infectious laughter blossoming across the audience. Sarah's heart swelled, warmed by the acceptance and encouragement surrounding her. "Yes, we can, Annie," she confirmed, her voice rising with newfound confidence. "And I'm ready to take the leap." A wave of applause broke out, echoing against the walls of their dreams. In that moment, she felt a part of something grander, a community ready to stand by her side. Roberta, who had stayed close, stepped forward to offer her support. "Sarah, by taking this step, you're opening the door not just for yourself, but for someone waiting for a loving family. You're brave beyond measure." Tears welled in Sarah's eyes, but they were tears of hope. For the first time, she felt truly seen, not as a woman without a child but as a woman ready to create a loving family. "I want to give a child a home, a life full of laughter, and love beyond the limits, because that's what I've always yearned for." With every heartbeat, she visualized a future where her house would be brimming with joy and adventure instead of uncertainty. She pictured tea parties and late-night movie marathons, the sounds of giggles bouncing off the walls, a child nestled in her embrace. Suddenly, all the hardships she faced didn't feel like insurmountable obstacles, but rather stepping stones to something beautiful. The crowd erupted into cheers, their applause affirming what her heart had long desired. Sarah looked at Annie, whose eyes sparkled, filling her with a fierce determination. "Are you ready for this adventure?" she asked the little girl, and Annie nodded vigorously, her excitement contagious. "Yes. I can't wait to meet our family." A sense of clarity washed over Sarah as she spun around, glancing at Jenna and all those present. They were no longer strangers, they were allies, champions of love woven together by shared stories and dreams. The worries that had gripped her earlier seemed laughable now, replaced by the excitement of a future where she could finally stretch her wings and soar. As the crowd continued to applaud, Roberta walked toward her, arms wide. "Welcome to the journey, Sarah." With tears streaming down her cheeks, Sarah stepped into Roberta's embrace. It was as if the final piece clicked into place. She felt whole at last, buoyed by the realization that she wasn't walking this path alone. She found her tribe, her support system, and most importantly, she had found herself. "I can't wait to start this journey," Sarah whispered, knowing with certainty. From that moment on, she would embrace every upcoming challenge, turn every fear into bravery, and fill her home with love, laughter, and cherished memories. It was a new beginning, one rooted in hope and bursting with possibilities. The lights from the festival sparkled in the night sky, illuminating the way forward. Sarah felt a rush of exhilaration, ready to step into the unknown, knowing it held the promise of the family she had always dreamt of. With each clap of the crowd, she felt reinforcement. She was ready to rewrite her story into one filled with love, connection, and an amazing future. This was just the start. Now, before you go, listen up. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you don't miss the next captivating stories. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to fuel the algorithm. I want to hear your reactions and feelings about this ending, so comment below with your thoughts. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support matters, and together, we can create a community filled with stories of hope and love.